I guess this is what the Biden administration calls a tangible for black people.
Now available in paperback and e-reader from the author of Spinsterella, A Strange and Unusual Romance, and Spellbound, The Darker Shade of Black comes from Legendary Magazine. And you get the conclusion of the Spinsterella trilogy in paperback and e-readers at online booksellers today.
On Thursday, WNBA superstar Brittney Griner was released from a Russian prison in a prisoner exchange. Now, the Biden administration has managed to facilitate the release of WNBA superstar Brittney Griner in exchange for Russian merchant of death Victor Bout. And this comes almost a year after your Brittney Griner was arrested and charged with possessing vape cartridges that contained hashish oil, which is legal here in the United States but is illegal in Russia. And as a result of having these vape cartridges in her luggage, your Brittney Griner was arrested in Russia, charged with the possession of an illegal substance, and then sentenced to 9 years of hard labor. Now, the Biden administration is celebrating this as some sort of victory as related to their hostage negotiation, but when I take a critical examination of the release of Brittney Griner, yes, it is a success as related to facilitating her release, but this is just another one of the empty symbolic gestures that the Biden administration is making towards the black community. Now, your Biden administration went out here and accelerated the pace as related to negotiating the release of Brittney Griner because they wanted to go out here and try to get brownie points with the black community in a covert contract where they believed if they went out here and provided the release of your Brittney Griner, it would show that your Joe Biden actually cared about the black community. Unfortunately, this passive-aggressive, empty symbolic gesture really shows how disingenuous the Biden administration is because they are passively doing something by facilitating the release of a black celebrity, but aggressively not doing anything to provide any sort of tangible for the black community. And this is the type of gesture that the Biden administration has participated in over the course of its 3 years towards the black community that basically shows how little respect your Biden administration has for black people. Because what they do is go out here and find somebody who really wasn't connected to the black community, look to do something for them on the surface, and then this person, what they do, when they do something for them, they then try to virtue signal it as a tangible. And an example of this is shown to us with the Supreme Court nomination of Ketanji Brown Jackson, who is supposed to be the first black female Supreme Court justice and supposed to be somebody that's representing black on the outside, but is an advocate and supporter of white supremacy on the outside. And with your Brittney Griner, we have the exact same thing going on because your Brittney Griner on the outside is black, but has nothing to do with the black community, has not supported any black causes, has not supported any black-owned businesses, and has not done a single thing for black people, but is allowing the Biden administration to try to go out here and get brownie points with spellbound black people because on the surface it looks like your Biden administration is actively going out here and doing something for black and alphabet people and facilitating the release of Brittney Griner and showing how it's all about promoting so-called diversity as related to the black community. Now, what's really interesting to me is how they can go out here and work and get Brittney Griner out of prison in less than 10 months. However, there were other Americans who are in Russian prisons, like some guy, I think his name is Pete Whelan, who has been sitting in a Russian prison for 4 years And the U.S. never really worked that hard to try to get him out of prison, and that really shows some bias as related to Brittney Griner's celebrity status and how shallow the Biden administration is, because they didn't really work that hard to get this Whelan guy out of there and a guy who was a part of our U.S. military, but they'll actively go out here and work tirelessly towards getting a black celebrity out of a Russian jail. And that to me is a red flag, because again, it really shows how this is all about trying to get brownie points with the black community by making it look like you're doing something for black people, by doing something for a black celebrity, but you're not bringing anything tangible to black people. And that's where this is a Pyrrhic victory for your black people, the ones who are celebrating this. Yes, you got Brittney Griner out of jail so that she can go back to doing absolutely nothing for black people outside of the occasional so-called representation as related to the color of her skin. But the content of her character is, here is a woman who spoke against America, kneeled at the national anthem, had no respect for our country and our flag, but then we have an administration actively going out here looking to go out here and facilitate her release, and that's the right thing to do for an American citizen. But again, they do this for a black American citizen who has no connection to the black community. And this is how many black folks think, oh, this is a reason why we need to trust the blue party. But the blue party shows its disrespect for foundational black Americans with this whole gesture. I mean, because again, when it comes down to providing tangibles for black people, your Biden administration has no interest in doing this. No, the only thing it celebrates are empty symbolic gestures like, oh, the first black Secretary of Defense, the first black female Supreme Court Justice, and the release of a black WNBA player who has not been an active player in the black community. And it celebrates victories like the Raphael Warnock over your Herschel Walker. Again, empty victories that are symbolic and really don't have any substance whatsoever, because they do not provide anything tangible to foundational black Americans who went out here and voted for your Joker Joe in large majorities in 2020, and pathetically went out here voting for these blue party candidates like your Raphael Warnock in 2022 in an effort to try to help preserve a democracy that isn't really providing any sort of rights or any sort of tangible resources to your foundational black Americans. And that's where I shake my head as related to everything related to this celebration of the Brittney Griner release by many spellbound black people. I wonder why they're celebrating this. Yes, I'm happy that this woman did get her freedom, but what does that do for most of us foundational black Americans? Because we're the ones who we're not getting any sort of tangibles, and your Joe Biden, again, in 2020, told us as much. And once they started seeing black people starting to stay home, they went out here through some empty symbolic gestures towards black people, and sadly, black people continue to go out here and think that they're getting something because all they want is attention. And what they're sitting there thinking is, oh, they're paying us some attention. Well, attention is an intangible that really doesn't mean anything. If a politician truly cares about people, they're going to go out here and do something tangible for them, and they're going to give them tangible resources like the Hispanic community have received, like the Asian community have received, and like many other minorities, they go out here and some of them aren't even citizens, and they can get tangibles, but a foundational black American who is born and raised in this country, we can't receive a tangible at all, even though we have been paying taxes into this country. And what really, again, is a make me shake my head moment is how you've got black people thinking, oh, they did something for us. No, they did something for your Brittney Griner, because the Biden administration basically wanted to go out here and virtue signal to the black community, make it look like they cared in a codependent way, because what your Biden administration is doing is what many abusive people do in codependent relationships. They go out here and they make half-hearted gestures to keep you in the abusive relationship to make it look like they care, but in actuality, they never cared at all. And what they want to do is make you believe, oh, this person still cares. They did so much, but they really didn't do much for black people. And that is the whole sad case as related to the release of Brittney Griner. It just shows how spellbound and how stuck in bondage many foundational black Americans are, because many black Americans, they still got chains on their minds and are still trying to maintain this codependent relationship. And that's the thing that makes me shake my head about what's going on politically, because that's why I call it the pathetic states of America, because many Americans are pathetic because they want to sit here and stay in a toxic relationship instead of using their constitutional rights to facilitate the change. Because again, the first three words of our Constitution are "we the people," and sadly, we the black people keep falling for the okie doke because we want white acceptance and a pat on the head, and we don't want to go out here and get the tangibles that we deserve as related to what we are paying into this system. I mean, most black people's problem is we celebrate empty symbolic gestures instead of demanding the tangibles, and it's everybody's getting tangibles at our expense. I mean, we have $3.3 trillion in spending, and we are put last. Meanwhile, black celebrities who disown us get put first. And again, that really burns me up, because the bootlick class go out here and make it look like they're representing black people when all they are doing is just being a face for these people to go out here and use them so that they can go out here and get back to business as usual. Because at the end of the day, after Brittney Griner gets her freedom, she uses that freedom to walk away from the black community and wants to go out here and abandon us. So I look at this whole thing as your Brittney Griner. Yeah, it's nice that she got released, but what is that doing for black people as related to getting us tangibles, and how is that going to help us be able to gain a foothold as related to the positions of power here in these United States? Critical question I have to ask, because a celebrity getting a release, yeah, that's nice for them, but we need to look at this as there was nothing really done for us, but this will be celebrated as something by the Biden administration as doing something for black people, when nothing was actually done at all to empower us. Now, this video is not going to be monetized, so if you could donate to the Patreon, the PayPal, or the Cash App, it would be greatly appreciated. And you can do that by clicking the link in the description box. And if you want to pick up some of my positive black fiction on the SJS Direct imprint, like the ISIS series, the E-Steam series, the John Haynes series, and the books of the Spinsterella trilogy, you can find those books on Amazon.com in paperback and Kindle format. You can also find them on Smashwords, the iBook Store, and Google Play. That's all I have to say for this video. You can comment, rate, and subscribe.
Now available in paperback and e-readers, ISIS, Samurai Goddess. The Goddess Next Door takes on Kung Fu killers in this action-packed martial arts ISIS series adventure. Get ISIS, Samurai Goddess in paperback and e-readers today.